Anybody that I would know break in with you? Anyone go to that school? Anyone come out of there?
Um, no, in the same circle we all started. It was nobody from the school, but we in the same area in Raleigh and this area that we all wrestled together. It was myself, Hurricane Helms, the Hardys, Joey Abs, Shannon Moore, Joey Mercury, Joey Matthews, Christian York, the Dups, Mike Howell, and other guy Murray Happer. They were the Dups. Champagne, who was with the Dups as well, a little bit in ECW.
Sure.
Steve would come around as well. Lodi was another one, and then Lodi was one of my students, and I had another one named Toad, who did a little bit at WCW on the end. Um, but nobody from the school, but everybody else in North Carolina scene. We all started in this little group together.
Yeah, Steve would he would do the Indies by me. He would do Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and then he'd go do the North Carolina Indies as well. He was all over.
Yeah, he not because his parents lived down in Rayford, so then he moved down here for a little while and started with I think it was NWA 2000 is what it was called. Yeah,
Yeah.
and run that for a little while.
Talk to me about the Hardy Boys.
You always knew Matt and Jeff had it.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff was the athletic one. Matt was the brains, and the charisma you see on TV with Jeff, that wasn't Jeff when he was around us. You know, when he was starting out, that was his other character, Willow the Wisp. And we always said if Willow and Jeff Hardy got together, how crazy would that be? And then Jeff started doing his Willow the Wisp character as with Jeff Hardy. But I worked with them 1993, 94 when they probably were 16, 17 years old, is what it seemed. But amazing guys. Same way Joey Abs, Jason just had the look. He's another one. Shannon Moore the same way. And I think Shannon was legit 16 years old when he started. But you knew that whole group at one day at some time or another were going to make it. Because Jeff and Matt always went up to WWE and WWF and did jobs. So there was one of those, they were never going to be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I used to do TV with them, and they were just always. Jeff was the most humble, down to earth guy at the time I ever
Yeah,
met, and
yeah.
Matt was
Straight
yeah,
as
Matt
an
was
arrow.
always more talkative and yeah, but great guys. What about the Hurricane? Any stories about him?
I've known Shane since he was about 5 years old. He used to be my brother's best friend. So Shane would
Oh,
actually come to the house with like when the young kids would do sleepovers and stuff like that. So I've known Shane literally his entire life and wrestled him 1,000 times. Um, I've always loved working with Shane. And again, like I said, he's always Shane and I've always been close. That whole group because Shane lived right down the road for the longest time. So um, he always used to seem like he was always shorter and smaller. He actually was, really real thin at the longest time, but it was because it was his wrestler gimmick. He was always hunched over, and then when he started stabbing, you realize, wow, Shane's got some height on him. But Shane's one of those guys. He was like Corino. He's always been want to be a wrestler since he was a little kid. So he had the brains for it because they've studied it. There weren't people like me that came into it late that just the athletic part got them through. Because that's what I always used to say. I was always the worker, and Steve was always the talk and the brains.
how great was Three Count? I love Three
Yeah,
Count.
yeah, I love 3 count too.
Man,
Yeah,
low key love them. So how did you go from like just a regular indies to getting some buzz to you? What was your is there any certain breakout matches or times like that you set, that you developed the name CW Anderson?
just when Pat and I were tagging, we were the old school Anderson tag team, and they brought the NWA stuff back, and we were the NWA World Tag Team Champs for a while, and just I mean, like I do, just putting in the miles, putting your face out there again, out of sight, out of mind, and we were everywhere. And then when Pat started getting older and started doing less things, I started kind of transitioning more with Toad and Lodi and Shane and Mike Howell, wrestling that way. And then once Toad and Lodi got to the power plant and started going there and training, they talked me into going because they said I was just spinning my wheels here in the Carolinas because I was a big fish in a little pond. So they told me just come up and go through those 3 days of hell and get that out of the way, and things will start looking out, going right for me. Is what they said. They said you're just not doing anything anymore in the Carolinas.
You're not getting better wrestling the same guys.
Because no, you're getting because by that time I was the top guy, and the only way you do get better is being better locker rooms, and it was hard to find better locker rooms in the Carolinas.